Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Short Sports Show. I'm your host, Daniel Short, and today got a good episode. It's an hour-long special, so it probably won't be too much. It might not be an exact hour. It might be about 45 minutes, maybe some awkward number around there, about 47 or something. I don't know. But real quick, why I hadn't have an episode on Monday was because I had to work, and I got a whole lot of hours that were put on me, but got through it, thankfully, and that's why we're going to have an hour special, because I can't do it tomorrow either. So, might as well just put both topics, both things all in one episode and push it out for this week. But rest assured, next week and all the other weeks, it will be Monday, Friday type thing that I usually do. But another one quick thing again is that this show will be live only for 30 minutes. The way Spreaker works is I can only go live for 30 minutes, but once after 30 minutes is over with, the rest of the episode, which I'll continue to do, will be something you listen to afterwards once it is completely finished. So if it gets cut off and I'm right in the middle of a sentence, I'm like it's on the next part, and it shouldn't really, once you listen to it again, it should be clear, straight. But just wanted to get that out there so people know. And here we go. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at short_sports24-7. Also on Facebook, The Short Sports Show. And if you missed this episode or any other episodes, make sure you go on YouTube, type in The Short Sports Show, find me, click on the video, like it, subscribe, all the other stuff. Helps me out. Also, another thing, interact with me. If you disagree with something I say, we're not going to go into like an argument or anything, but if you have disagreed that, it's a legitimate, I don't want to say argument because I'm not going to argue, but, a different opinion, I should say. If you have something like that, you can put it on Spreaker.com, but also on YouTube. YouTube is the best way to really contact with me. So if you have a comment on there or something, that's the best way I can reply back to you. And it's or on Facebook, either way. But I'm just saying, go ahead and do that. And again, today is September the 26th, Thursday, 2013. And let's go ahead and get on to this. We'll recap first with the NFL and also college football. And I know it's been a while now. I mean, it's Thursday. We're already getting ready for tonight's game with the Rams and the 49ers. And we're also getting ready for this week's football week. And, we already, it's been a while since what happened last week. But anyways, my San Diego Chargers. Sad. We can't finish a game. It seems like that's been a problem for the past 2 years now. San Diego Chargers lose to the Tennessee Titans 17-20. After the last 15 seconds of the game, they give up a game-winning touchdown from Jake Locker to, what was his name? The guy out of Baylor, that wide receiver. It doesn't matter. Either way, Chargers lost, and it's upsetting, that knowing that we should be 3-0. I mean, you have a huge lead over the Texans. You give it up on Monday night in front of a national audience. Again, you have another good lead over the Titans, and you give it up again. What this team is 1-2, but easily can be 3-0. It's crazy. A lot of these teams, and I don't know if past seasons it really hasn't seemed like that. It seems like the past few years, it's always if you lost that game, you really did lose it. I mean, you just didn't play good. But it seems like this year there's a lot of teams that have records that really shouldn't reflect on who they really are. I mean, you looked at the Redskins right now. They're 0-3. Well, they deserve it. But the Eagles is the team that's supposed to come into my mind, and they did it. They start week one with a huge bang. The offense is great. Everybody's praising them. And, the next 2 weeks, they just blow it. And so it shows, Chargers are 1-2 right now. Easily could be 3-0. It's a completely different setting right there. So, and it seems like, like I was saying, a lot of other teams that are 0-3 or 1-2, there should be opposite, or that are 3-0 and really should be 0-3 or something like that. So it seems like a pretty crazy year so far, just starting off, and it should just get better. Also, the Bengals won over the Packers, which was a good win for the Bengals, showing that they can compete with the best. And they held off Aaron Rodgers, even though it looked like it was going to be a blowout. I think the Packers scored 30 unanswered points after it was 14-0, and then they give up a whole lot of points and can't answer back. So a good win for the Bengals, 34-30. And then the Cleveland Browns. After all the things they did, they traded Trent Richardson to the Colts, and they didn't bench him, but Brandon Weeden did not start, and they brought in a guy named Brian Hoyer, who I've never heard of until this past week, and he did okay, but I think his numbers resemble the exact same that Brandon Weeden has done. He throws for a whole lot of yards, which he did, 321. Threw 3 touchdowns, which Brandon Weeden has done. He's thrown multiple touchdowns in a game for multiple games throughout his season last year. Also threw 3 interceptions, which Brandon Weeden seems to do. It seems like they always match up. If Brandon Weeden throws 2 touchdowns, he throws 2 interceptions. Brian Hoyer still led the Browns to a victory over the Minnesota Vikings, who now dropped to 0-3, while the Browns go to 1-2 with a 31-27 victory. The Patriots offense continues to struggle as they beat the Buccaneers, who also are struggling, 23-3. And the Buccaneers, and this is one thing I want to talk about, the Buccaneers are going to bench Josh Freeman, and I don't understand why. And this is the reason why. And I know that you look at their record, you look at the stats, you say, hey, they haven't really been in any games, they've lost, they're 0-3, all that other stuff. And I understand, but Josh Freeman, his first few years he was in the league, he got beat around, and he was just not that good. And once the other coach, who I can't remember his name, the coach before this one, he really brought the good part of Josh Freeman. Josh Freeman just a few years ago was throwing 4,000 yards, 20-plus touchdowns with less than 15 interceptions, and was getting the Buccaneers, back to what should be playoff contention. They bring in this coach who I do not like. I don't like this coach that's from Rutgers. I can't think of his name either, but I think he's the reason Josh Freeman is struggling. I don't think that offense is what Josh Freeman likes or is used to, or he can't really understand the game plan or something here, but I don't blame Josh Freeman for the way the Buccaneers have been playing. Now, obviously, yes, he has been playing pretty poorly, but I think it's the coaching. I think the coaching is the main reason why the Buccaneers are 0-3. And, not a lot of teams, even though they're saying Josh Freeman wants to be traded, which I don't blame him. He's given a lot to Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay really hasn't given him anything back. So you start thinking, well, Josh Freeman wants to be traded. And if you look at the NFL teams, yes, there are some teams that need quarterbacks, but you got to think about next year's draft class, or this upcoming year's draft class. You're going to have a huge selection at quarterbacks, which we haven't seen in the past few years. I'm not going to go into names, but there are a lot of quarterbacks that are next year that are better than Josh Freeman, or something you want to trade for, if you understand where I'm getting at. Basically what I'm saying is, if I was the Jacksonville Jaguars, they need a quarterback. Instead of trading, a few draft picks or a player in the draft pick or something like that for Josh Freeman, I'd rather save it, blow the year like the Jacksonville's already been doing, and get a top quarterback in the draft than take my chances on Josh Freeman, if that makes more sense. So again, I don't think Josh Freeman is the reason why the Buccaneers are struggling. I think it's the coaching, and whether they give the coach, another year or so. I think this is maybe his first year. I can't really remember. I don't pay too much attention on the Buccaneers, but I think it's more of the coaching, the head coaching, is the reason why the Buccaneers are struggling. Because look at the people they added on the offseason. You bought Deshaun Golston, a few linebackers. They have what should be a solid defense, and it's not performing well. And offensively, obviously, Doug Martin's not doing that great, and neither is Josh Freeman. So I don't see Mike Glennon, that rookie quarterback, I don't think he's any good either. So What is he, like 6'9" too as well? So that's just crazy. But that's just my 2 cents on the Buccaneers this season. Redskins dropped to 0-3. They're struggling. They are struggling. They lost 27-20 to the Lions, and I told you guys it was going to be a close game. And I predicted it was going to be like 35-35. I knew it wasn't going to be a tie, but it was just hard to see one of those teams drop to 0-3. And obviously it was going to happen, and it did. And Lions got the victory. They go 1-2, and now the Redskins are looking at, what are we doing? We can't really bench RG3 because that would just could put him in a bad mindset. But it looks like that may be the smart decision. I know if I was the head coach for the Redskins, I probably would go ahead and just bench RG3 or play him for a quarter. And if you have him at a certain standard, and if he's not performing there, you got to say, hey, we got to put in this kid for right now. He'll give us the best chance of winning. And obviously that's what you want as a team. Obviously you play as a team, you win as a team, or you lose as a team. And right now I'd rather go ahead and put Kirk Cousins in as quarterback. That's just me. The G-men, the Giants, look like lost men right now. They are 0-3, and they got absolutely dominated. I mean, just dominated against the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers. Really? I mean, the Giants are bad. I expect them to be this bad this year. I had them third place in the NFC East, right behind the Cowboys and the Redskins, which right now is looking really, really bad. But the Giants are just a lost cause right now. Nothing's going right for them. It's going to be crazy to see how they finish out the year, but right now 0-3 is something they're not used to. None of the fans are used to it. So, and it's like, what are you going to do? Why is this not working? You have a good receiving core. Your running back, even though he's fumbleitis right now, he's solid. Now you question why you got rid of Ahmad Bradshaw. That's a huge reason why they're struggling, because they don't have another 1-2 back. Yeah, they signed Brandon Jacobs, but he's more of your third down and short guy. He's not anything spectacular or anything. So then you start thinking, well, we can't bench Eli Manning because he's doing pretty good stat wise, other than the interceptions. But what is going wrong? And defensively, they have a lot of questions and offensively, they turn the ball over. They can't finish their drive. So it'd be crazy to see how that finishes out. The Texans lose to the Ravens 30-9, and like I said, Texans aren't the same team. They're not. They should be they're now 1-2 right now, or 2-1. So they really should be 1-2 right now, because they should have lost to the Chargers and shoulda, woulda, coulda. I know, but I'm just saying that's just what I'm talking about. A lot of records don't resemble what the team really is, and so Texans aren't the same team. Ravens somehow, I didn't think they win that much. You're even given a shot to win, because I didn't think the Ravens would be that good this year. So, Texans, not the same team. We'll just have to see. Colts dominate the 49ers 27-7. That's something I don't think anybody could have predicted. The way that the 49ers have been playing the past 2 weeks, obviously we knew they were going to struggle against the Seahawks because the Seahawks have a good defense. I still thought the 49ers would win that game. They didn't. Then the Colts, I was thinking, I hope the Colts win, because it'd be great for them and whatnot. I never gave them a chance, though, to win. I was hoping they would win. They go out there and, they absolutely dominate from quarter 1 to quarter 4. So it's the 49ers have some, I don't want to say they should be in a panic mode or anything like that. I just think, they're getting too hype or too confident that, we got the best team and whatnot, because right now they are not. And obviously losing to the Seahawks, that was a huge loss, and now losing to the Colts at home is bad. The Dolphins are 3-0. They defeated the Atlanta Falcons 27-20 on a game-winning one-handed touchdown catch. what was it, like in the goal line situation. So the Dolphins, I mean, they're good. They're good, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to say this, but I mean, because obviously they played some good competition so far, well, especially with the Falcons having to beat them, even though they were at home. That does give them an advantage, but it was real shocking to see them how they beat them. But Dolphins have a very underrated defense that I was going to add on my fantasy team. Of course, they're all gone, so that sucked. But that's another problem. The Dolphins, I don't think they're going to keep it up. Obviously, they're not going to go undefeated, but I don't think they'll be able to keep it up where they're going. They'll finish above 500. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But I don't think they're one of the top teams in the AFC or in the NFL for sure. So that's basically what I was going to say. The Bears, another team that shouldn't be 3-0. They should be 1-2 right now. But again, they dominated the Steelers, who were also struggling. The Steelers and the Giants both struggling, both 0-3, and the Steelers just got blasted on 40-23 against the Bears. I mean, it's the Bears. You don't lose to a team that's not known for offense. And the Steelers have a lot of problems, and it's hard to see Mike Tomlin be on the hot seat because he's a great coach. And I wish this would have happened last year because I would have loved to have Mike Tomlin on the Chargers as a head coach. But it's crazy to see how the Giants and the Steelers are struggling so much, not finding anything that they can do right now. But the Bears, I don't think they're a great team this year. I know they're 3-0. Don't think they should be. So I'm not saying playoffs for them this year. But again, that's something we'll get into later in the year. That's something we'll talk about later. And here's the huge stat. And his last game was Monday night. Was the Broncos against the Raiders. Now, majority of those years, if you look in past years, you would think, okay, what a boring game to watch. Because, the Raiders suck and the Broncos, are average. Now it's completely different. Raiders looking pretty good. Terrell Pryor, I'm going to give him some props now. He's doing pretty good. I think he's trying to run too much and not look downfield. But, he's looking like a pretty good quarterback. The only complaint that I have on him is that I know he wore number 2 in college at Ohio State. But I think he should have thought about this, is he should not have worn number 2 with the Raiders. And the reason why is for a lot of Raiders fans, which I'm not, a lot of Raiders fans, that brings back bad memories of a quarterback wearing number 2. We all know who I'm talking about. So I just don't think he should wear number 2 because I think it brings back a lot of bad memories for them. But maybe it's the best way for them to get over it. Who knows? But either way, Peyton Manning gets his 12th passing touchdown of the year. In just the third game, he gets it. Now, check this out. The rest of the NFL teams, the other 31 teams, do not have 12 touchdowns combined on offense. So that's rushing and passing. So you think all the other 31 teams, even the Patriots, the Packers, the Falcons, I don't know who else, the Seahawks, 49ers, whoever else you want to name that's good on offense, none of them have more than 12 touchdowns on offense, while Peyton Manning already has 12 passing touchdowns on the year. That's pretty crazy. I think it's amazing. The Broncos did win 37-21. I know you already know the scores, guys, but I got to get my show done, all right? So here we go. College football. That was recapping. We'll get to what to watch for. That's coming on later on. But recapping the college football, there was not a whole lot of games for college football this week. It was really kind of a boring week, a boring Saturday, I should say, mainly because my TCU Frogs, TCU, I think I say TC, TCU Horned Frogs were not playing this last week. They do play this week against SMU, so beat SMU this week. I can't wait for that game. But again, there wasn't a whole lot of games this week that were too interesting. Number 5 Stanford did beat Arizona State, who was ranked 23, 42-28. I said it was going to be a flow. I don't know if that was my exact prediction, but I'm pretty sure I was close around that. So if you go listen to last week's episode, which again, another plug. You should see, should hear. I think I got around that prediction because everybody was thinking Arizona State's offense is, really good. That they're kind of going like an Oregon team. They're running that speed read option, and they're trying to do all those other things on offense. And I knew Stanford was just they're gonna have enough in them, and I think it helped Stanford, because they're saying they weren't playing as well as people that thought they should have been playing. Now this, shows, hey, they beat a pretty solid team at home, and it shows that, they're still a top 5 team. It's basically what I'm trying to say. Also, North Texas, so close. Almost beat Georgia, number 9 Georgia, on the road, 45-21. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're saying, how did they almost beat them when it was 45-21? Well, in the third quarter, it was, 21-21. And, North Texas looked like they were going to have it. I was rooting for North Texas. I've been the upset of the year right there. And I really go for upsets sometimes, unless it's against my team, I don't. But, I really went for North Texas. I was hoping they would win. Because, that'd give them a little of exposure, maybe helping them. I know it's not going to, give them a top 10 recruiting class or anything, but it would help them out, remembering, what they used to be. But they couldn't finish it, which seems like the story of the year for football, at least on my side. So again, they did lose 45-21. And Jeremy Hill, running back for LSU, gets number 6 LSU over Auburn, gives them a victory, 35-21. That guy is an absolute beast, and LSU is a very dominant team. I'm glad TCU did play them. Obviously I was hoping TCU would win, but it shows LSU is a very tough team. So I guess it's a good thing that since TCU didn't win, they lost. That we lost to a solid team, or a great team really, of LSU. So not too much to look down on that. So I'm glad LSU is doing really good, because the better they do, it makes us look good, because it says, hey, at least we lost to a team that maybe wins the SEC championship. I'm just saying. Number 15, Michigan, is not a number 15 team, a top 15. They are basically now the Florida Gators. They almost lost at home against Akron. Akron just was bad play calling, and that therefore Michigan did get the victory, and which was like a 4-point victory. And now Michigan went on the road to play UConn and lost 24-21. So Michigan is not good. And even like I said, the time I give Devin Gardner some saying, oh, he's good, I'm giving him his respect, whatever, he does bad. The times I go against him, he does great. There you go. So I'm off of it officially. I'm off the bandwagon of Devin Gardner. He's not a good quarterback, and that's all I'm gonna say. Number 14 Florida, number 19 Florida wins against Tennessee. I didn't think it'd be a blowout. They lost, or Florida won 31-17. Tennessee is just a lost cause as well. I was expecting a whole lot more from them with the new coach and new system and all that. They're not that good. Neither is Florida, but I'm just saying Florida did get the victory. 3 teams, Baylor, Miami, and Ohio State, all of them put up 70 plus points. They played very weak teams, but it was just crazy to see the scores being lit up that much. And one thing I did want to talk about, since we're on college football right now, is Baylor. Baylor. I hope there's some Baylor fans out there, and I hope there's some people that are saying, oh, maybe Baylor's good. I hope you're listening, because I'm about to change your mind real quick. Baylor has played Wofford, Buffalo, and Louisiana Monroe. All 3 games, they have, put up, 70 plus points, or 60, 70, whatever. Baylor will be 7-0 before they get to OU against Oklahoma, but will finish the year 9-3, which obviously is a great record for Baylor. Baylor has sucked over the past 50 years, 100 years. They've just been bad, and now since RG3 senior year was great, they have shot up with recruiting, with rankings, with press, everything. Because his first, 2 years starting, he got hurt and all this other stuff. But to be honest with you, since, again, I am a TCU fan and Baylor had played TCU multiple times, especially during the time I started getting into TCU football, RG3 was not known. I mean, he was known maybe in Baylor's campus, saying, oh, this guy's pretty good. This guy's pretty good. He might be a free agent one day in the NFL. And then he has this breakout year, which I'm not taking anything away from that. But, Baylor was absolutely nothing and would still be nothing football-wise if RG3 had never gone there. Now, they did have Terrence Williams, a great wide receiver that's with the Dallas Cowboys. And they also have the other guy who caught the game-winning touchdown against the Chargers with the Tennessee Titans. I can't remember his name. It's not Kenny Britt. I just can't remember this guy's name. Either way, Baylor would basically be nothing. And, I'm not hating on them. I'm nothing like that. I mean, TCU's got the record over them, so it's not like, there's anything to hate on against Baylor. But I just think, Baylor's getting a lot more credit than they really deserve. You take away that 1 year for Baylor, and they're back at the bottom of the Big 12, and nothing's exciting for over there. You know what I mean? So, Baylor, yes, you're going to be 7-0 until you get to Oklahoma, because that's going to be your first tough test. They play, I think, K-State this week, and, if K-State was, what the team they were supposed to be, like last year, then, this would be a good game to watch, but it's not. Baylor's probably going to blow them out, too. Not by, it's not going to be like 70 to something. It might be 45 to 20 something. But Baylor has not played good, solid teams. Now, I'm going to run out of time with this live thing, but I'm still going to talk about it. Now, Baylor's basically pulling something that Texas did, what the Texas Longhorns did, and that is play the weakest teams for your non-conference so you can get those 3 to 4 wins. And that way, especially because, you play them early in the year, you build up rankings, you build up confidence in your team, which I think for certain teams that is okay. And I know I'm trying to, make a lot of points right here, but, Baylor's playing all these weak teams. They're scoring a whole lot of points. Their offense is in, top, basically number 1 in the nation. And, people are saying, oh, who's better, Oregon or Baylor? Oregon is basically not because of the players, maybe because of that, but the competition Oregon has already played, and competition Baylor has. I mean, you look at Baylor, who they played, again, Wolford, Buffalo, and Louisiana Monroe. None of these teams are any good, whether they're in FCS or FBS, and, I think any other school would put up maybe not 70, but they would put up, 40, 50 points, maybe 60. So I think there's too much hype going on for Baylor. I know I may have missed a point here, but basically what I'm trying to say is Baylor's not good. Yes, they'll be 9-3, but a lot of those wins are given just because the other teams they're playing are weak competition. Now, the other point I was going to say was Texas had always played very weak teams, so that way they could build up in the rankings. And then when they got to play Oklahoma, when they went on the road at Tech, when they played Oklahoma State, K-State, even Iowa State when you go on the road over there, they would struggle and maybe even lose because they're not used to playing good competition. Now, TCU, they played a tough competition. They played a LSU, who's right now in the number 6 in the nation, and possibly will contend, they will contend for the SEC championship and maybe even the national championship. So that's already more competition Baylor's played in those first 3 games. Then TCU had played Southeastern Louisiana. One of their cornerbacks is going in the NFL, and you don't have to take my word for it. Go look at the pre-draft rankings from Mel Kiper, whoever you want to look at, and you'll see that guy is a top 4 rounds pick. And the rest of this will be not live. See you guys then. So also, what was I saying? TCU has played, who was the next game? At Tech. Tough game. Got, lost because of that, but because of the referees. But basically what I'm saying is Baylor is not up to par with any other teams. They are going to lose, the 3 games. I think I have them Oklahoma State, and TCU. I have them losing those 3 games. Now, because I'm a TCU fan, I think TCU by that time will get it together. And they know the importance of that game, both recruiting and just talking about it is going to affect, the season towards the end, especially going into bowl games by that time. So basically, the whole point that I'm making is Baylor is not that good. Watch their numbers, their offensive numbers, drop very, very low, very, very quickly once they hit that OU stretch. Once they play OU, they start playing some very, very tough competition.